Inland Empire, maybe the Riverside area. But our assignment desk is doing a good job of trying to find
They
that
probably wanted to
information for
make
us as we
sure
continue on the
they
westbound
wasn't
91 coming
seeing
up
what
to
they seeing
exit
him going this
31.
slow.
This is going to be near the Kaiser here,
More
but you
than
can see
likely.
that airship from the California Highway Patrol
Hey,
lighting
it's the
up the
first time they've
They
seen
pursuit.
an
had to
airship.
And
refresh.
what they're doing from above is not only watching that vehicle,
Good.
trying to see if they can see in that vehicle what's going on in there, but they're also using that night sun
Shit, we got no
to
room.
let the public know that there is something going on the freeway, as well as they're calling out for that pursuit for those ground units, so that those units on the ground can focus on
Yo.
driving. At speeds like this, it's not as tiring or exhausting, but when they get going and they start weaving between traffic, the air unit becomes an asset in that, so those officers can focus on driving safely and sticking with the vehicle, and they can call out the streets and the traffic for those on the ground, as well as for those commanders back at the communication center who are making the decision on what next to do with the pursuit. As we continue to the west here, we'll actually be coming into another jurisdiction here shortly, so we might see one of those CHPs. That is the 57 freeway we just went under. You can see those flyovers here. So now 91 freeway westbound through the 57, coming up on State College Boulevard. And it just seems like we're out for a stroll this evening going westbound. But it is a bummer, that's for sure, for those drivers here on the 91 freeway who are probably just trying to get home or to their next destination tonight, and now they're stuck behind traffic. I can tell you this morning on my drive-in, I got stuck behind a large traffic stop on the freeway, and it added quite a bit of delay to me. It looks like we just saw something got thrown out of the vehicle as this car
I
continues in
missed
that
him.
number 2 lane. And it's just a waiting game right now for the California Highway Patrol as they continue this pursuit westbound.
All right, we're getting some information, just a tad bit of information right now that this was
Okay.
a failure to yield. And well, and
For real?
this car
Yeah.
has been on its way ever since and has been trying to evade
That's
police, but at very slow
that's a
speeds here
California
on
rule,
the
ain't it?
91 freeway. It was a
A
really great
California
shot that you were
stop,
able to get there,
whatever the fuck it's
Colton,
called.
with the CHP chopper
Yeah.
overhead.
Would you just roll through the stop
Just
sign?
moments
Like you
ago, I
don't
mean, so close
really
to this
stop?
car, and you've
Ain't that
got
normal?
No, it's
three
a
black and
failure to
whites, the CHP
yield. There
behind
was a
him. You
yield
know, this
time,
guy
so he
knows he's
didn't
being
even slow
followed,
down.
and he's got the night
He
sun
had
on him.
more.
So it's just a matter of
Yo,
time
what's
of
up,
whether he's
fellas?
going to decide to pull over and give up, or if he's just going to keep on going. And we always say this, time is on the side of the CHP because they do have that ability to, as we've been calling it, leapfrog in and out of these pursuits on the freeway. And but it's causing a backup for sure on the 91 going westbound. At this point, people are slowing down, and there goes the chopper, and the night sun is on him as well. So he's aware that there are people in pursuit, that the authorities are in pursuit of him, but he's not going very, very fast at this point, and
Oh,
hasn't been.
that's right. The driver does know that there are units behind him with those lights and sirens, and then with that airship overhead, it's hard to ignore that. That's for sure. But when we look at these pursuits, a lot of people wonder why there are 3 units in the pursuit when it's just one car they're following. But that's actually very strategic. That first unit is that primary unit in the pursuit. They're the ones that
I never
are
wondered that.
calling out the pursuit if there isn't an air unit overhead. They're the first ones that are going to be involved in that traffic
Huh,
stop, and
I
often they're
never
the ones that
cared.
started the
I
pursuit.
just say a
If you
lot
have
of people are
backup
wondering.
vehicle
No,
that's there
a
to
lot of
assist
people
with
are
that
not.
Only thing
termination
you're wondering
or
is
to
why
take
is he
over if
doing
something
this?
happens to that primary vehicle. And that third unit back there that you see is typically a supervisor, and so they're the ones that are watching the pursuit and deciding what the next steps are, if they have to call in other units to take over, if they're going to use some sort of intervention tactic like a pit maneuver or a spike strip, or even deciding if it's just way too dangerous and they need to back off. But that's why that supervisor is there to kind of look over that pursuit. And then you have that air unit overhead with that observer calling out the pursuit. They have a night sun on board, which lights up the way here at night. They also have that the infrared camera on board, so if the pursuit does come to an end, they can follow that suspect. Say the suspect gets out and runs on foot until those officers are able to catch up. So that's kind of an overview of what we're seeing here. we also have the dispatchers back at the communication centers, which are doing their own research on the vehicle, maybe trying to figure out where it came from, who might be in it, notifying other agencies in the area. We're in Anaheim right now, so if this were to get off the freeway, what would happen in that case is we could see the local agencies, Anaheim Police Department, their air unit actually take over the pursuit, as they are more familiar with that area than the California Highway Patrol are, as they focus more on the freeways. And so that's kind of just what's going on behind the scenes as well. Is there's a lot of different people working to figure out what's going on, inform the next agencies in the area, as well as kind of see or figure out if maybe there's something going on with the driver themselves. We don't know the state of the driver. Maybe they're confused. Maybe something else is going on, causing them to want to run away from the police officers here. So all that's going on, and they're going to figure this out. That's for sure. But now we're coming up on Brookhurst here, still about only 60 miles an hour. Very, very little traffic, because all that traffic is stuck behind the pursuit right now. That's why you're not seeing any other vehicles on the freeway. A failure to yield suspect, meaning the suspect, they tried to pull him over and the suspect did not stop. And we still continue here westbound. Kind of getting you a better shot of the driver's side of the vehicle as that night sun comes around. We'll try to see if we can peek in that window. It's a little dark, unfortunately, because that air unit is flying a little bit too high overhead, and there might be tinted windows there. But this driver just seems content to stick at it now down to 39 miles an hour. Low speeds here, working to the west on the 91, going through Brookhurst.
And approaching the 5 freeway, the question now, is it 5 north or is it 91 west? And keep in mind, at 38, 37 miles an hour, the traffic being held behind this suspect for this pursuit, for the safety of the public, is now beginning to back up considerably as people are forced to now move along what would otherwise be a wide open 91 freeway at 40 miles an hour or less as we approach the 5 interchange. And it appears the suspect is going to continue. Well, it's hard to say.
If I was behind them, I'd be somewhere quicker, man.
And a look at the line of cars behind them. I mean, they are moving, but obviously at a very slow
You know how many times I've been stopped in that?
Into the 35 mile an hour range here at the 91 and 5 freeway interchange.
That's right. We kind of saw that Burge.
Why do you think there's a law
there,
saying there's no vigilantes allowed? Because people just
the pursuit
try to shoot the tires out.
But it looks like we're heading the right-hand lanes right now, which would indicate we're
I'll be so mad because he's holding up traffic.
And then they do have the option of going north or south.
Imagine coming
see
home
what happens
or
here.
coming
Here's
from
that
Vegas or
first,
something.
merging area. It's still continuing westbound on that 91. A few more seconds where that driver can make that kind of plunge over there onto the 5, but it looks like now we're committed on the 91 westbound, going into the Fullerton area.
What does that connect to?
And this is good for us here, as now we don't have to worry about the Disneyland car and staying out of that airspace. But it is just a straight shot down.
Is that going right?
Now we're going to run into
66 goes to like
710
Idaho
to 605, and then as we continue westbound, just straight into LA until the 91 ends down at the at about the 405. But this driver just content on hugging that number 1 lane, still about 30 miles an hour. And you can see how bright it is here, just a lot of lights in this interchange of the 5 and the 91 freeway. But Highway Patrol still right there on the driver's tail, keeping back a little bit. And that's just for officer safety for the most part. If the driver were to slam on their brakes or something like that, if they're too close, that could cause a problem. But now we have some traffic coming from that feeder lane from the 5 freeway that now they're going to have to kind of stop and prevent from getting too close to the suspect vehicles, because like we were saying earlier, they don't know what's going on inside that vehicle, and they don't want the public to get involved by mistake, and sometimes having those feeders and stuff put people in danger as they get close to the vehicle.
You know, even when it's a low-speed chase, it's just as dangerous. And, you know, that's why we're watching this. We know that it's causing a backup here on the 91 freeway westbound, slowing traffic at least. And, you know, you were talking, Colton, about how the CHP could possibly use a pit maneuver at these speeds on the freeway. Is that a possibility? Are we looking at maybe possibly a spike strip as well? We've seen that in the past. Looks like he's getting off the 91 now.
Right, brother.
Like we're getting off at about Beach Boulevard here in the Buena Park area. This is the first time we've seen it get off the freeway since we got overhead. But a spike strip is an option. A pit maneuver, especially at these speeds, starts to become a reality.
Yes, go on,
now
Jeff.
It's just
go
a
on,
moment where those officers can kind of put that into
it's gonna be all empty because nobody's over
if
here.
they get that permission.
Like Riverside and shit,
but
nobody's out.
like we've talked about
Just the
before,
white
pit
neighborhoods,
maneuvers
or
can
like
be
Latino.
a little delicate
So
in
they're
their
all
use.
either in their house,
If they know something about this
partying,
driver that we
or-
don't, they're going to try to keep the officers in the public
But
space.
Buster
Might
is
prevent
trying
that.
to
You
see somebody to cut him off
Bloodsport
right there.
and,
See how
Beach,
they-
and it looks like we're
Oh,
coming
he's
up to a
stopping.
stop. And nope.
What?
Here we go,
You know how
continuing
people do
on.
out
But
here. We
this
stop
might be a
and
good
go.
shot for us to
Oh, he
kind of look at
stopped
that
and
driver,
kept going.
the front windshield. It looks pretty foggy in there. We can't even see the driver much. It
Now
looks like
he's
the
speeding, huh?
actual
Now
sunshade is up, and just
Now he's on the
peeking
complete
through that
opposite
driver,
side.
or through the windshield there, just missing that curb as they are trying to merge onto the freeway. But it looks like
Oh, he's
now
on
we're
the
going to
opposite.
be still
he's on
kind
the
of
complete opposite side.
avoiding the freeway here, southbound Beach
Yo, brother,
from the 91 now.
I was
And this
tempted
is
one
going to be
time,
going down
but
towards
I
Knott's Berry Farm
stopped.
if you're familiar with the area, and that kind of entertainment district. But very erratic driving now that we're on the surface streets. Speeds are still going about 50 miles an hour, which is actually a bit faster than we saw on the freeway. And we'll just have to continue to watch what this driver suspect does as we continue southbound. But you can see that sunshade up in that driver window, blocking all the view other than what looks like a little hole to the left for that driver to see. And that might explain some of those erratic driving. But a very dangerous situation now that we're on those surface streets going at these speeds with that erratic driving. Coming up on a red light, we'll see what happens here. And now we're at La Palma and slowing down for the light, stopping at the light, holding a little bit back, which is interesting. We'll just have to see what happens here. So very interesting situation here. CHP right on the suspect's tail right now. That driver still disobeying their command to pull over and yield.
I'm done.
Beach. This is going to be not
You gotta
very
follow the
good,
laws.
passing right
You
now.
might have the police behind you, but you
30
gotta
miles an hour now. And what they might be
You gotta
considering
show
doing
them you're a
now is
normal
getting
human
those
being before they beat the shit out of
outlying
you.
agencies, those agencies here that this is their jurisdiction to take over the pursuit. But the California Highway Patrol right now saying we're going to stay in it. We're gonna follow this suspect until we can take them into custody or get someone else in here too. But right now it seems like the CHP is going to continue with the pursuit.
Things quiet in Buena Park tonight. This is getting more dangerous by the minute. We had this suspect on the freeway at 40 miles an hour and virtually no one around him. And now you're dealing with cross traffic on a surface street, and again with a sun shield in the windshield. Essentially, this driver is blocking his or her own view. And is making it very difficult to see, and we've seen the car swerve and jerk a couple of times as though almost, hitting the median and then swerving to stay on the roadway. But what is going on inside this car with the sun shield up, blocking the windshield as this driver tries to move, and now for a second time stops in the middle of the road only to keep going. Colton, any idea if there's anyone other than the driver in this car?
We haven't heard anything. The air unit as well as the ground units are having a struggle seeing inside that vehicle as well. So that makes you wonder what that suspect's maybe trying to hide with putting that sunshade up. It's a very strange choice, especially at night. But now we're stopped here again on Beach. And this is going to be the fourth time the suspect has done this, but back door open, so we must have a passenger in the vehicle. We're going to hold a little wider of a shot just to see what happens, and it looks like the passenger's coming out, and the driver's going to continue. So the primary unit in the pursuit is going to continue on that pursuit. One of those backup units is going to go and detain that driver for further questioning and see what's going on. But the pursuit continues now, speeding up now to about 50 miles an hour southbound Beach, coming up on Lincoln Avenue. There you go. That answered your question, Micah. We had at least one other person in the vehicle. We'll see if there are any others.
Brother, I was shocked
usually
when
there's
he
someone
saw.
in the back. There's bound to be a passenger in the front
stop
as
at
well.
another red light.
But
Good job.
Still very erratic movements by this driver, stopping and going. But the time's on the officer's side. They're not going anywhere. They can get more if they need to. And then when this pursuit comes to an end, they have the position of advantage, and they
I don't think that
have
Uber's
the
gonna get to
ability
its
to wait out the
destination
suspect
tonight.
till they get out of the vehicle. So there's no real worry about the officers getting tired or having to back up for that reason. But if we might see as we continue southbound on Beach here, maybe they get a unit involved to do a pit maneuver or spike strip just due to the consistency of this driving now.
Angel Stadium.
But the driver's still continuing to follow most traffic signals and following those green and red lights for the most part, other than, stopping in the intersections randomly. Southbound number 2 lane through Orange now here on Beach, and this can take the driver all the way down to the ocean if they continue on this path. And that would take a while, but it doesn't seem like this driver is really worried about going too fast anywhere at those low speeds, that's for sure. But you see 3 units still in this pursuit. Another unit was, I'm sure, stopped and picked up that passenger. And what they can do with that passenger now that they have that passenger detained is kind of get a better idea of what's happening in that vehicle, what the state of the driver is, why they're running, what might be the reason, or what might be the reason, or why they could get them to stop, or how they could get them to stop, something like that. So that passenger now becomes a good source of information for those officers on the ground and in the air as this pursuit continues southbound Beach. Coming up on about Lynn Rose, here back in the city of Anaheim. And I'm sure the city of Anaheim is well aware of this pursuit coming through their jurisdiction, and they're probably responding to the area to assist, say the driver gets out and runs. Now the driver looks like they're going to be holding out a piece of paper or a sign. That window coming down for the first time, it almost looked like they were holding up a license plate, and now that I look at the vehicle a little closer, Mike and Cher, that vehicle is missing a rear license plate. So while we don't know the exact one, other than that the vehicle was being stopped for or a failure to yield, it looks like the license plate's missing, and it's just been tossed from the vehicle. So all those different things that are thrown from the vehicle are picked up by the officers in the pursuit as they are evidence. So there's going to be an officer that stops and picks that up as well at Beach at about Cerritos now, coming into Stanton.
Yeah, you heard me kind of a little reaction there when he was taking his license plate out and then it flew. I don't know if that was intentional or by accident.
When I see cars
regardless,
from
it's
city to
out
city,
there on the road.
I just think
and
my
as you
car
mentioned,
can
they
handle
will
that.
be collecting that license plate. It could be part of the reason why this was a failure, why they wanted to stop him in the first place more than half an hour ago, well, that would be good reason to try and stop a driver for not having your license plate on or any identification for this car whatsoever. So, 30 minutes or so into this and you see, or 25 minutes into this and you see, you see that he is acknowledging that he does not have his license plate on, but then, lets it go. He also threw something out of the window at the beginning of this pursuit as well, and then let go of a passenger about 5 minutes ago on Lincoln Avenue and Beach Boulevard from the back seat. Driving with this also sunshade in the front, is that still going on, or has he removed that? Because that was going on for some time when we were able to get a closer look. And he was just peeking through, Colton, as you mentioned, just a little bit to try and drive, but it looks like, is he still using that sunshade? Oh, here we go. He looks like he's coming out of the car.
Doors open.
I mean, it might be
Doors
some other
closed
people
again.
now.
It's hard to say from this view, Cher, but if
It
we
looks like it's
continue
still
forward
there.
here when we can, we'll try to see. But just from, like you said, Cher, you have a bigger monitor than me, but I think
it's
still there.
it's still there. So that driver's just peeking through that top left corner of the windshield to view the roadway, which is very, very dangerous. You lose all your peripheral vision. You can't see cross traffic. You can't see pedestrians.
Why is he frozen?
Very, very dangerous, especially on these more busier roads that we see down here.
Oh, so they got it blocked up. Here we go.
very, very well-known intersections here, or streets here in Orange County. You can see that officer that was stopping traffic, that's called Code 100. And what they do, and we can see on the right side of your screen, that passenger getting out of the vehicle and walking over to the curb, that passenger being detained after the pursuit continued. But officers are in the area, and they are stopping traffic. They are here and ready to assist if the suspect were to get out and run. But the pursuit continues, southbound Beach through Catella, and this has been a very, very strange pursuit for us here in Sky 5. The slow speeds, the erratic driving, that sunshade up. We don't see that very often, but it does happen from time to time, and that just makes you wonder what the mindset of that driver is. What are they trying to hide, or what state are they in? Why do they think that that's a safe way or a good way to drive? And why aren't they stopping for the police too? These are all questions that both us here at the station, as well as those California Highway Patrol officers from the Santa Ana Division, are trying to figure out right now as this pursuit continues southbound on Beach, coming up on La Monte here in Stanton.
And the next choice would be the 22 freeway. If the suspect wants to get back on the freeway, keep in mind this started in the Riverside area in the Inland Empire. CHP, a simple failure to yield. And this driver is beginning to show more bizarre behavior as we move through surface streets in Stanton, down the heavily traveled Beach Boulevard, wide open tonight. But your concern would be the cross traffic, and we've seen authorities blocking that cross traffic in some of the major intersections. You don't know what this driver is going to do. Oftentimes they blow through red lights, and obviously that's a big concern for authorities. So they're trying to block those intersections and allow for a straight shot here as CHP continues behind the suspect. Now moving into the 11 o'clock hour. KTLA 5 News at 11. Micah Ullman with Cher Calvin, Colton Von Pertz in Sky 5. This is failure to yield. CHP in pursuit from the Inland Empire, making its way westbound on the 91 freeway all the way into the Anaheim area, getting off at Beach Boulevard, and now moving southbound on Beach Boulevard through Stanton and approaching the 22 freeway.
And just moments ago, as you see there on your screen right, that was a passenger being let out. Okay, Colton, go ahead.
We just saw a spike strip be deployed, so we'll see if that made any impact on the suspect vehicle. But that spike strip was deployed, that officer pulling it away before those CHP units were able to run over it as well. Hazards on here as we continue southbound Beach through about Lamson now, but it did look like that vehicle did run over the spike strip. We'll have to watch those tires as this pursuit continues southbound. But very strange movements as the pursuits continued, very slow speeds on that 91 freeway, slowing down traffic to a point where cars were being held back on that 91. Probably a few hundred cars stuck behind the pursuit. It got off on Beach, went northbound for a second, did a U-turn, and we've seen multiple random stops. That sunshade in that windshield, that driver just peeking through the corner of it, and then a passenger was actually, the driver stopped at one point, and that passenger got out of the back of the vehicle and just walked over to the curb as almost like nothing happened. But the CHP Santa Ana Division still continuing this pursuit. Driver getting a little more free with their driving all the way over to that number 4 lane. Almost looked like they were going to consider going on the 22 to the west, but decided at the last moment not to. But CHP still on the tail. Multiple units, more than just those 3 are in the pursuit now. I think we saw like 4 or 5 when that spike strip occurred. But here coming up on the 22, we'll see if the driver continues southbound. So it looks like we're just content on going southbound on on Beach here. We were content on the 91 freeway earlier, and we'll continue southbound here and pretty much come towards Huntington Beach now. We're in the area of Garden Grove right now, but Huntington Beach is going to be the next big city that we get to, and right there at Huntington Beach and Terabella is the 405 freeway, so we'll see if the suspect decides to do anything else there. But very slow speeds down in the 20s again. This would actually be that kind of prime territory for a pit maneuver, spinning a little bit there as we went into that driveway, and that could be the lost attraction from those spike strips that we saw earlier. We haven't heard, or nothing's been confirmed about successful spike strip. Looking at those tires, they still look pretty inflated, but now we can't see that driver's side, so maybe there's something going on there. But now into a shopping center here in the Westminster area. We'll see what happens here. And this is a very dangerous situation as well, Mike and Cher, because now you're putting shoppers and other individuals in danger who are just trying to stop and get their groceries for the evening. But now onto the sidewalk. Going into Walmart here, and it looks like suspect white with green pants running into that suspect or into that Walmart there with a black beanie. But the CHP have a good description of that suspect right now. Walmart is sure to have cameras, and what they'll end up doing now is set up a perimeter around this Walmart here, and then look for that suspect on those cameras and apprehend him now. But the question comes is, we saw the suspect in one pair of clothes. Is the suspect going to go in and take off that hoodie or sweater or something like that? But that's where the those security cameras that all these big department stores have will assist. But it looks like we even have employees coming out telling them that the suspect went inside. But the CHP are going to take it slow. Time is on their side for the most part. Of course, they want to keep the public safe, but they're going to set up their perimeter and decide the best tactic to take this suspect into custody here at Walmart, just off of Beach Boulevard, 13,000 block of Beach Boulevard here in Westminster.
Yeah, you see the officers now approaching that vehicle. They're going to clear that vehicle to see if there is anybody else inside and what other kind of evidence they can find in that car. And it looks like they're going to try and move the car out of the way. Is that what they're doing, or just checking inside? I would think that they'd probably leave it like that just for evidence and investigation's sake. But coming out of the car, okay. And again, the suspect has fled into, did a foot bail here into the Walmart. Well, you know, like you mentioned, there are a ton of security cameras in there. He's not going to get very far. At least that's what we hope. But this has been going on for the better part of half an hour, starting in Riverside, ending up on the 91 West and in Anaheim, then going on Beach Boulevard. There was another person in that car with this suspect who was originally wanted for failure to yield, and he let off a passenger and who calmly walked out. We have video of that that we'll show you. And then I would say about at just a couple of minutes ago, I saw smoke on the surface street, and it looked like that the car had hit a spike strip. And that there was smoke that followed after that. So I don't know if that's on the other side of the car, and that's why he pulled into this mall, into this shopping complex, so that he could, because he couldn't go any further. But,
well, the way the car slid on the road would lead you to believe that the tires on the left side were disabled to a degree, which is going to prevent this thing from moving along much farther than it has. But yeah, you got to wonder now how many people are inside a Walmart other than employees at 11 o'clock at night. Is it even open? Assuming it is, obviously, you've got a lot of cars in the parking lot, likely open till midnight, I would assume. So you've got a number of eyeballs inside the store. How this person that at a glance looked to me as though it was a female jumping out of this car. Now, here's another look at it, and you can be the judge for yourself, but it boom, right there. It looked, I mean, whether it's a male or female, we cannot confirm, but at any rate, running into the Walmart, and now with the number of employees in there and the customers shopping, this person's going to be hard-pressed to do a change of clothes and otherwise disguise themselves. And obviously, they're not going to let anybody out until that person is vetted. So you have to believe that it's a matter of time before this suspect, again, here's another look at it, how this ended, at least the moving part of this pursuit. And there goes the suspect bolting right into the front door of a Walmart.
Yeah, now they're setting up that perimeter, Mike and Cher. They have units that are surrounding the Walmart building here. You can see that, well, it looks like to be an employee from the store talking to those officers there. But I'll pull out to a little bit wider of a shot for you, and you can just see all of those Code 3 lights and sirens around the Walmart right now. And what they're going to do is check all those doors, the different exits, the emergency exits that the shopping center is going to have. And prevent anyone from leaving those, because that is a good option for a suspect who's trying to escape. But it looks like we have assistance from what looks to be Westminster here as well, who are going to help with this perimeter and suspect search. But like you were saying, Mike and Cher, the Walmart's going to have a lot of cameras, as well as there's going to be plenty of witnesses with how busy that parking lot is and what the employees that are going to be able to assist in identifying that suspect. You can now see officers approaching that vehicle once again, and they're just looking for possible additional clues, additional evidence, as well as just making sure that that vehicle is safe to be sitting there. Probably going to clear the trunk at some point too, but it's just a matter of time until they locate that suspect, who's taken the CHP on a pursuit for nearly, well, it was nearly about 40 minutes since we started it, and just taking them right on a journey throughout the Southland, from the Inland Empire, where we picked it up right at the border of Riverside County and Orange County, all the way down here to Westminster, here at Beach Boulevard.
You know, this Walmart literally just closed. It was supposed to close at 11 o'clock, and you saw the suspect kind of just drive up onto that sidewalk there and park the car and
Right at 11.
Right at 11, it closed. So these are the last shoppers at Walmart, probably finishing up their purchases, employees getting the store ready to close, asking all of the shoppers as they do, you know, when it's time for closing, you know, wrap up your shopping and time to make your purchases. And that's why you see, you know, you see some people that are parked there in this Walmart because they closed it 8 minutes ago. But at this point, it looks like they might have somebody in custody. Is that
It looks like they are detaining a suspect. I don't know if it's the same suspect, a little different clothing description than what we saw the suspect wearing going into the store, but they have some reason to believe that this person is involved, or possibly the suspect. You can see multiple police agencies here, both CHP as well as the local agencies, even a canine unit here detaining the suspect at the corner of Trask and Descanso here, and it looks like we're right at the Westminster Gateway Mall, right off of Beach, 13,300 block of Beach, and so one suspect or potential suspect detained now, but that doesn't mean that they aren't still looking. They're going to review that that security footage, track the movement of that suspect as they went into the store, just to confirm that they have the right person here at this intersection right on the corner here.
Right, when we saw the video of the suspect fleeing into the Walmart, the suspect, man or woman, still unsure, was wearing blue jeans and a white shirt. And, you know, easily, as we've seen before, they change their clothing and try to ditch whatever they're wearing in order to blend in with the crowd.
Past the owner of the stream. It's my stream now.
Here. But with so many people still in this Walmart trying to wrap up their shopping, you know, it could have been pretty easily spotted and said, that's the guy, or that's the one, that's the suspect that you're looking for. So that could be very well the case that we're looking at right now, because this person is now in custody with handcuffs on.
Now.
Yeah,
Mike,
go ahead, Colton.
That's the thing with a you know, a big box store like this, or a department store, is there's plenty of clothes in there that the suspect could change if they had the time to. But the officers are pretty good at identifying that. One of the things, they have different things that they look for on the suspect that often they forget to change. So it's possible that they noticed, you know, something like shoes or glasses or, you know, a beanie or something that might not be the first choice in changing if you're going to go in and like change a sweater or something like that. That's really easy to put on and take off. But they do have that suspect detained. It looks like they have him in cuffs. Those officers kind of getting a little more relaxed in their posture. Even some of those units backing off from the front of the store. So it is possible that they believe that is the suspect. You can see all the lights from all those units that were surrounding the store kind of turning off. But now they're setting up the crime scene. This vehicle is a part of a crime. It failed to yield. Racked up a whole bunch of other charges along the way, I'm sure. But they have set up that crime scene tape. Now they're going to have to fingerprint it and just make sure that there's no other evidence that they've missed. And you can see that the crime scene tape tape is there to hold the public back, which is actually pretty close to this for being a termination of a pursuit. And that just makes it a little more sure that they seem that they have the right individuals, as they are even letting what looks like
it's because there's a Costco right next
the
to
public, those customers, those staff members of Walmart outside of that crime scene. So it looks like this may be breaking down, and that the police officers here are content that they have found the right person.
Yeah, well, we shall see in a moment or two if this is in fact Westminster PD here or CHP. Obviously, you had a number of witnesses, so they're going to be able to ID this person who bolted right in the front door as Walmart was closing. Again, this was a failure to yield out of the Riverside area, CHP in pursuit, all the way down into Westminster, primarily 91 westbound to Beach South, and they just continued on. And at one point, there was what appeared to be an unwilling passenger, maybe in the back seat of that car, hard to say, but this car came to a stop at an intersection along Beach, and the person jumped out and walked to the curb as though, I'm done with this. And here is a shot of that on screen right as you see the right side door open. Out goes that passenger, and away goes the driver, in making his or her way eventually to this Walmart in Westminster, where we now see someone, a person of interest, here on the sidewalk, prone just outside this Walmart. And you saw the video a few moments ago of the driver jumping out of that car that appeared to be somewhat disabled from a spike strip, and running into the front door of that Walmart just as the store was closing. And again, with so many people inside, it'd be hard, that person would be hard pressed to disguise themselves and get out of there, and by fooling the cops, fooling the CHP. They're surrounding the store, and will, if they have not already, get their person.
Right. You saw that video again just moments ago of the suspect fleeing into the Walmart, and gosh, what scary moments it must have been for all of the shoppers and employees still in that store as they were wrapping up their purchases. The store closing just 13 minutes ago, and hearing all of the sirens and definitely the helicopters overhead. And then, I mean, that must have been frightening. So you've got, there it is. That's the video that we're talking about. And this was a very unique pursuit because on the freeway, on the 91 westbound, this driver was going just at 50 miles an hour, backing up traffic a little bit on the 91. And then when he exited on Beach Boulevard and let go of that passenger, he took out, or she took out, the license plate of the car, because the car had no license plate on the rear of the car. So took out the license plate as if to show the officers behind him or her that they do have a license plate, which could have been probably the reason why they tried to pull over and light up this suspect in the first place over in at the beginning of this pursuit. That license plate ended up flying out the window, and there's a long trail of different pieces of evidence that the officers and authorities are going to have to pick up. We had something else that was discarded from this car at the very beginning of the pursuit at about 10:35 that we saw, and then you have the license plate that was discarded. You also have the person that was taken, the passenger that decided to come out of the car. And then a spike strip that ultimately probably put an end to this pursuit, because it looks like that the driver was starting to run on its rims before it ended up fishtailing into this Walmart parking lot, and then parking right there at the entrance and trying to flee police once again on foot.
Well, the passenger that got out is going to provide the description.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the stream. This was Static, the police chase guy, and I am Guppy Killer. We do appreciate you guys and your time. God bless and good night.